Hello, Mario here. This is an intro video to Blender's 2D animation workflow. If you've never used any of the 2D features in Blender, or have never used Blender at all, then this video is for you. In this first video, we will talk about parts of Blender's interface and why they are important. Specifically, we'll be looking at objects and layers, modes, deleting and editing, and you may even see some features that Blender doesn't even know they have. Let's get started. If you've never been in Blender before, you may appreciate its sleek, smooth, easy to understand interface. When I first saw it, I thought, I know, Turbo. I know. The interface is confusing, I'll tell them. Let's take this in steps and understand parts of the interface and why they are important. Objects and layers. Let's start Blender and select 2D animation. This sets you up to start drawing with the grease pencil. Originally, this pencil was designed to critique 3D animation. But you know animators, they're sly and creative and started animating with the grease pencil. And Blender, being dynamic, followed along and made it work for us. Thanks, Blender. But before we start drawing, let's understand the environment that we are in. Let's say you want to make a film. There are a lot of parts to a film. There's a background, there's animation and character animation, there's props, give me props, there's effects, there might even be an overlay as part of the background. Where am I going to shove that? Here we go. Overlay. Okay. Now each one of these is an object inside the film. Ooh, overlay is going to be tricky. There you go. And props will be way over here. So each of these elements of the film, they're actually objects of the film. And the objects are up here. So right now, you can see that I'm on the stroke object. And the stroke is our drawing type of object. It's the type of object. But I'm going to rename it. I'll call it animation. I'll leave the word stroke in there so you understand what type of object it is. But I named it animation. So that's our animation object. And that's what I'm currently drawing on. Let's talk about layers. Let's take one object. Let's take animation. In animation, we could have rough animation, clean animation, and you may even have your color. You could even have a storyboard in there if you want. No problem. Squeeze that in. These are our layers. And the layers are over here. So you can see I'm on the line layer right now. And you can see fills as our other layer, and that's for our color. So if I wanted to put my rough animation in there, I could add another layer. And put a rough layer in there. So I just hit the plus button here and that gave me another layer. So we have objects and layers. Now, as you can see, I'm not really drawing, but if I really wanted to, I could draw in here. Okay? And the reason why I can draw is because I'm in the drawing mode. You can see that right there, draw. Okay, that's my drawing mode up there. So let's talk about modes. We're going to talk about 3 types of modes today. You've already saw me use the drawing mode. There's also an edit mode and an object mode. And yes, there's some other cool ones in here. I'll teach you those later if you want. But today we're going to talk about the drawing mode, the object mode, and the edit mode. So right now, being in the drawing mode, I have my pencil and I can draw. If I want to erase something, let's say I want to erase this face, I could use the back of my pen and erase it, if you're into that. You could, if you've just drawn a line and you want to undo it, Control Z still works. So that's good. Control Z. Right? So you have the back of your pen, or you have the Control Z. Or if you want to get rid of an older line, you can change this draw mode to edit mode. Select that line. You can see that it's highlighted. And hit delete. Now, of course, it's going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. You could say points or stroke. Either one of those will work. Okay, so I'm still in edit mode, so I can't draw. But if I go back to draw mode, I could draw again. And if I want to go back to edit, I could select it and delete it. Okay, now there is a hotkey for these modes. 2 of them are super simple. 1 of them is not. Sorry. All right, so if I'm drawing, and I want to go to edit mode, I can hit tab on the keypad, on the keyboard, tab. And you can see it instantly switches to edit mode. So now I could select all of that and delete it. If I hit tab again, it puts me into object mode. So tab and tab switch between edit mode and object mode. To go back to drawing mode, this is not the easy one, sorry. Control tab, and you could select D for draw. So if I move my mouse over here, Control tab, and I can just hit D, or I can click on draw. Okay, so you understand objects, or what objects are, you understand what modes we're in, and you understand what layers are used for. Let's put this into context. Let's say I want to draw a car. Now normally you take out your sketch pad and you draw up a car. Simple for you guys. In animation though, we draw things by object. If we're going to animate something, we're going to want control of different parts of that subject, a car. So if I were to draw a car, I would draw it by objects and start with the wheel. So go to object mode, add, grease pencil, blank, and I'm going to call this wheel. Create a new layer. This will be our rough layer. Go into drawing mode. Remember the hotkey Control Tab, then D. And I'm going to start rough drawing my wheel. Wonderful. That's ugly. Anyway, we'll go with that. Okay, great. So that's my rough wheel. Perfect. So now let's do a clean version. And here I'll go. What? Okay. That's a nice feature. Clean up Mario's crappy drawings. Didn't know Blender had it. Okay, so now that I have my wheel, instead of drawing a second one, I could duplicate it. I'm in object mode. Click on object and duplicate object. And there we go. You see how it lets me move it automatically. Now if you place it somewhere where it doesn't go, okay, to move it now, you have to hit the hotkey G. G for move. G. G, I think I'll move this. Okay, that'll work. I can't think of any other reason for G. Okay, so there you go. So I'm in object mode and I can G move it. Cool. I got 2 wheels. So I could even call this front wheel and back wheel. So now let's draw the body. Now, in case you're wondering how to move the desktop, it's Shift, middle mouse. Shift, middle mouse. That's a new one. Not the space bar we're used to, that's for sure. And I'm going to add another object. Grease pencil, blank, and we're going to call this the car body. And again, I'm going to add a new layer, rough, and I think this time I'll go right to drawing clean. So I'm going to add clean. So let's go to draw mode, Control Tab, D, start your clean drawing. Wonderful. Thank you, Blender. And you guys wonder why I like this software. So now I have the car body, each wheel. I didn't do wheel wells. Oops. Couldn't even fake that. All right. Okay, so that's how we'd want to draw for animation. This way I have control over the wheels separately and control over the body separate. So even if I wanted to, bounce around, it's a bumpy ride, keep the wheels on the ground, we could do stuff like that, So there's enough to get you started, get you drawing anyway, and thinking about how you could separate all the parts or all the objects in your project. In our next video, we're going to cover frame-by-frame animation and color management. Hope to see you there.